Yo, what is up, Crockxen clan members, Poke fans, and others who have stumbled on this video? I'm SoresanCrockxen here with a little bit of a video to respond to the Insane Game Freak. Well, I think he was using the Schizomatic channel. I'm pretty sure it was the Schizomatic channel, where he was talking about the anime, the Pokemon anime community, the AniPoke community, you know, all that shit, and how he views them as trash. And he was basically talking about, or he was mainly talking about journeys. By the way, sorry for no face cam today. It's early in the morning, and before I really started getting into work, I wanted to just make this quick video. So you're only gonna get a voice from me today. No, not too much editing either. So when he posted that video, I think it was literally yesterday, I kind of wanted to make a response to it. You know, I've said I wanted to do more response type videos on the channel, especially from creators that I really enjoy, and I feel like I could add to the conversation. And for this particular one, I actually have a good story to talk about. So when to give you some backstory on what his idea was, is where he essentially thinks that Journeys is really bad. And I can kind of agree to certain aspects, because I haven't really kept up with the series since Master Journeys came out. I stopped literally at the Suicune episode because I wanted to make the Go video right around that time, and I just haven't had the opportunity to make that video yet. It's still it's still in the background, and because of that, I just stopped where I was because I didn't want to go too far into it. Granted, I was been spoiled about a lot of things, and that's kind of why the Go video hasn't been released, because there's so much new shit that's been happened since I started creating the draft for that script. And every time something new happens, I just like, do I need to talk about this? Do I need to add this? And like, I got so burnt out that it's just sitting there. Like, I'm still not done with the first draft of the fucking script. Regardless, that's not the point of this video. Essentially, he was talking about how he doesn't view the series as good, and how the Pokemon community, or AniPoke is actually the correct term, feels like they need to attack anybody that goes against the grain, right, when it comes to, you know, Journeys as a whole, and how they throw around a lot of accusations against, you know, the people that are quote unquote not following the standards of, you know, enjoying the series for what it is. Granted, he doesn't blame everybody, right? He doesn't say all the AniPoke reviewers or people that discuss the show as, you know, these type of people. While I, you know, and it's a real deal. Like, it's a real thing. Like, so to bring it back to the reason for making this video is I actually went through something similar as to what he's going now. Now, for context, back when Black and White was going on, that's when I was really getting into YouTube for the first time. And one of the first people I saw from the quote-unquote AniPoke community was the Insane Game Freak, you know, the one that made this video. And I became a huge fan. Like, it's been like over 10 years already where I've been following this man. He's definitely been my favorite YouTuber, and he's the only one from, I think it's him and Tamashi, or well, Tama Hero now, because as she goes by, I think are the only two YouTubers that I've been with for so long. So essentially what happens is I got so invested in what he was doing for content, and when I decided to really ramp up my YouTube quote-unquote career, because I don't really have a career on YouTube, but when I really wanted to get more involved in the space, I wanted to do what he was doing, and he was doing episode reviews for Black and White. And I was like, well, you know what, I kind of want to do that when X and Y comes out, you know, because this is around the time X and Y was announced. I'm like, okay, well, I want to do what he was doing, because I want to be part of this community, right? I really wanted to get involved in the space, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try this. And this is where the story begins. So when X and Y first started, I was, you know, a young lad with bright hopes in his eyes, you know, very enthusiastic about the series and basically everything that was going to be going on. And I made my first review, my first like 2 or 3. I was going in, like, right. And for me, I was, you know, reviewing the dub version, so I'm always a little behind from everybody else that's reviewing the sub version. Granted, I was keeping up with the sub, you know, I didn't watch it, but I would follow the news. I would, you know, see snippets of what was to come, so I would be better prepared when I would review the episode in the English dub version. Now, granted, a lot of people always say the dub is a lot worse than the sub, and I'm not denying that. There's definitely a lot of subpar voice acting and stuff that happens in the dub, and some things that are changed or cut, and that's fine. It's just I'm so used to the English version, and I always say I hate Meowth's voice in the sub, so that's actually the main reason why I didn't really care to watch the sub version. So, but I was really, hopeful. I was having a lot of fun, and I was talking to a lot of people and the members in the community and all that stuff. And the bright spot for me was when he was one of my subs. I don't even think he does YouTube anymore, but I know I've seen him sometimes, on Twitter and stuff like that. But I don't really see him posting anything on YouTube anymore. I don't think his channel is active anymore. But he was doing reviews of the sub. Now, back in that day, actually, still to this day, I'm pretty sure that if you do sub content, like the Pokemon, the sub version content, you get a lot more exposure because you're obviously ahead of the game in terms of reviewing stuff and discussions and all that stuff. So he actually started reviewing the sub version, and he actually got involved in the actual full-on AniPoke Community. I was still on the outside, and he invited me in because he was following me, and he said, you know what, I want to include you. So I was actually incorporated into a group with, I think there was about 10 or 11 of us in there, and it was just strictly AniPoke folks, right? And there's people who were reviewing the show, people who were making discussions on the show, and I was told this idea of hey, this is gonna be like a full-blown collab, group. People would be able to get involved and have videos on each other's channels and stuff like that. And I thought that was great. The problem became when not only was I the newbie, and I was the only one reviewing the dub, I was also against the grain. I still to this day hate X and Y. I think obviously I can't say too much for Journeys because I'm still way too far back to say anything. But in my eyes, until I finish Journeys, I can't actually say that it's worse than X and Y. But in my opinion, X and Y is still the worst saga in the history of the show, and that was very controversial back in the day because everybody and their mom was praising X and Y strictly because of visuals and strictly because of the more shipping stuff, and this caused a rift. I was ostracized from the group, and nobody would want to work with me because I was so against, specifically Serena. I was so against Serena as a character during that time that nobody would work with me. The one that was my sub actually made a video with me to discuss. I don't remember what video. I think it was actually talking about one of the performances and how Serena hadn't practiced up to that point. And just because he was my sub, I think that's the only reason why he asked me to do that with him. Because I felt so pushed out because nobody liked me, nobody would talk to me. I was basically shunned from the entire group, and to the point where I was basically kicked out because I was not following the mold of we need to praise Serena. Serena's the best, and I'm still at the end of the day an Ash and Misty supporter. Right, that's still the way I will always see it, and that was actually heavily criticized in that group because the fact that the anime writers were pushing for this whole Ash and Serena thing, just because Serena was having a full-blown man crush on Ash, right? Just because of the style that we're going with. I basically became the black sheep of that group, and I eventually was kicked out because I wasn't following the rules. I wasn't praising X and Y. I wasn't praising the story writing. I wasn't praising Ash. I wasn't bowing down to Serena, praising her as the goddess that she was supposedly. And it was a very toxic place. I would be on those calls, and half the time I would be I either wouldn't talk or I wouldn't be able to express myself because I wasn't following, the quote unquote praise of the show, right? And I do feel like it stunted my growth. Cause you know I would get a couple 100 views here and there. I reached a couple thousands here and there. You know, I was still making a decent. I was still showing off a lot, but I wasn't able to compete with these people, these very positive thinking or positive pushing people who were just every little thing about X and Y was the best thing that any animation I had ever done before, or the greatest storytelling, or the greatest writing, or the greatest character. Like, I wasn't following that mold, and all these people, they passed me in viewerships. Most of them, when I first came in, I think I was the highest in terms of like sub count, and they just skyrocketed, and I was basically left behind in the dust, and I kept being criticized in a lot of my videos and on forums and even on Pokemino, if you guys remember that app, just because I did not have what was the quote-unquote correct way to see and visualize and talk about this show. I was so against the idea of saying, like, obviously praise were, props were given, when I would see something in an episode that I thought was well done or well, written or whatever. I still stand by Bonnie's the best character in the show. So it's not like I like a complete hater, right? That was one of the things that the Insane Gamer talked about in his video. I was branded a hater by a lot of the members of my community just because I wasn't kissing up to this fucking shitty ass writing that X and Y had. And I don't know, I will admit it was an experience. While I don't regret, going the way I did, I do feel like it did stunt me as a creator. I missed out on so many opportunities. Hell, I could be even bigger than I am now if I had some sense of, what he said when he says about listening to each other's opinions. Like, it's not like I will admit I did have some fault. I did get into a lot of beef and a lot of arguments with some of these people, and especially on Pokemino, I got into so many fucking fights because of this shit. Because I felt like I couldn't express myself, and when you feel like you can't express your own voice, and people started attacking you, you just get toxic back. And I will say, I was like that. I would be throwing out like a. What was it? I know that I got into an argument with somebody, and I basically called them stupid and how they had no critical thinking skills because they were so blinded by their affinity to a damn 2D character. So, like, I will admit, I got into some actual, like, name calling and shit like that, but it was one of those things where, like, I feel like if I had been able to have a normal conversation with someone without it being thrown in my face, it would have gone a lot smoother. So, but I got out of there. I was able to do my own thing. I still think most of my X and Y videos have like the most views on the channel, and like Yokai Watch or whatever. But I don't. Who cares about that shit? No, but in all honesty, like it was a very eye-opening experience, and I've kind of not branded, but I've kind of gone away from that to a certain extent. Like I tried reviewing Sun and Moon, and while I loved Sun and Moon, I couldn't see myself going into that space again. And Journeys was the same way. I could not for the life of me make video reviews on the series. Plus the fact that my living situation wasn't the smoothest, so it's not like I could just make a video whenever the fuck I wanted. But yeah, that's basically my story. I'm sorry the video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be. I might cut some of the stuff out. I'm not sure. If anything, you could just gonna get a raw video, whatever, and go from there. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be posting this to the Insane Game Freak Discord because I know I mentioned that I was gonna make a response to this video. And hope you guys enjoy. Give your thoughts and your experiences in the AniPoke community in the comment section below. Also, I want to bring up again, for those of you guys who are not from my channel, I am doing a Q&A right now. The questions are being received. I should be making the video sometime this week, hopefully, if everything goes well. And I've also opened my own Discord. So if you are from my fandom and you want to join, the link is in the description. Hope to see you guys there. And that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in future videos.